new story.
Yeah, all
What
new
was
story.
that like? It's a bit of a departure from the last.
Well, it's
two.
all new characters. That's what was great. It was, I've been writing with Bruce for 25 years, and I go back to Super Friends. I actually wrote the last 2 seasons of Super Friends. I apologize when I did.
Wow, that's great.
It was it was one year we did 2. Well, I was told you have to write your script so that a 2-year-old can watch it. It was like, oh, my God.
And now today,
Yes. Now today we're going more adult, but it's interesting, Somebody was asking me about the violence in these things, and it's interesting because we always want to get a PG-13 rating, and we do stuff where we wonder, but it's animation, and animation is an abstract, and you get away with a lot more stuff than you would in live action. So, and in this one, I mean, there's a lot of adult themes and a lot of adult situations going on there. So anyway.
If I could, building on that, you were mentioning that you could get away with a lot more in the PG-13 animated film.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily the case when this all started out with Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, because that came out with a PG-13 rating originally, but they actually went back and removed the knife from the Joker's hand. There was a big internet kerfuffle about it. What was this issue with that that's no longer an issue now?
I believe though it was just a different time, and they wanted to advertise on Saturday morning, and they couldn't. And that's what changed it. And now our audience is, a lot of the audience are adults and fanboys, and it's just a different audience, a different way of advertising. That's what hurt that one. Well, that was the part. And then we ended up with 2 different versions of it, so maybe they were happy in the end to have 2 different versions of that.
So when you have an alternate reality script like you're working on, you look at the characters and say, these are going to be darker characters, and let me figure out how to make them darker. You reverse engineer it and say, okay, this is Superman is not Kal-El. It's like the son of Zod. How would that play out? Like if you say, oh, not dark Superman, how do we make him dark? Oh, let's just make him the son of Zod. And you say, let's make the son of Zod become Superman.
Well, I think
is there a difference to the writing process?
I got to tell you, personally, I am not one who thinks that genetics will make you good or bad. I mean, it's you. And this, to me, the question that's being asked in this show is, or the thing we're exploring from the DC heroes is we're saying the DC heroes they pretty much hold back. They don't kill in a life and death situation. They try their best not to do that. We created these characters who would. If it came to that, they would kill. And then we're saying, well, if these characters had this much power, and would they end up protecting us, or in the end would they end up ruling us? I mean, that's the central character. That's why it's called Gods and Monsters. Are these guys going to be heroes, or are they going to be our despots? So that's the central character.
Like, are you writing Zod or Son of Zod, or are you writing Dark Superman?
Well, I thought of them as completely different characters. So Zod has a whole different background from Clark Kent. Superman has a whole different background from Clark Kent. And Batman is a vampire bat, and he's got a different background, and he's Kirk Langstrom. And we chose to use a heroine from the New Gods, Becca, as the new Wonder Woman, and she has a completely different character. She does not, Paradise Island does not exist in this world. So she's a warrior with a pretty tragic background, and they all are tragic, and they all have come together, and it's my feeling that the government named them Justice League so that we'd accept them more as helpers and there'd be a partnership going. But there's nothing much Justice League-y about them.
So you were talking about, when you were writing Batman Beyond and how you kind of had to market towards a younger audience. Now, let's say you don't anymore, so that offers a lot of freedom in terms of, certain content. Are there any difficulties in trying to write for an older audience and trying to make, a harder edged product?
No. I enjoy writing for an older audience, but I'm also writing for an audience that adolescents can look at, and because we have our share of soccer moms who buy these, and I hope for older kids. But I like writing for adults. I always have wanted to do that, and this has given me a chance to do that. Producing stuff for adults, I've always wanted to do that.
So you would say writing for children is a bit more difficult because there's so many restrictions and you got to worry about too much?
Yeah, I mean, writing for kids, writing for real young kids, I find very difficult because they don't accept irony. So if I like writing for, as kids get to be in grade school and above, and Batman Beyond to me was the show itself was for like a 12 to 14-year-old. It was actually became too old for the Saturday morning crowd, and that's caused its demise. So, but I've written for all ages, and I enjoy writing for all ages. I'm writing right now a show for 6 to 12-year-olds, which I can't talk about except to say I'm writing for 6 to 12-year-olds. So I like shifting from different things.
So you've worked with Bruce Timm quite a bit now for a very long time. So what made approaching this project with him different than the last few? Aside from just it being a different story, was it a different process you guys went into, or was it similar?
Well, we have a lot of respect for each other, and we'll argue with each other. God knows, and we're not. And we talked to Jeff Johns about this. Got his feeling about how it should go. We talked to Mike Carlin over at DC Comics. I mean, when I'm having trouble or it's rough going, I share the misery with everyone, and so does Bruce. So but all the talk and all the ideas and all the desires for how the show should go, there came a point when it all clicked together. And strangely enough, it was a point where I said, I realized that we were writing a mystery. It wasn't a thriller or a comedy thriller or an action piece. There was actually a mystery going on. And then it became like a knife through butter. A hot knife through butter. It was, and the good stuff comes quickly. So I felt good about it. So that's how it came about. And Bruce is reading, everything I'm writing and making comments, and we're doing revisions, and it's just constant until we finally record it. So.
Were you writing the web series alongside the film, or
afterwards we wrote the web series?
It felt like there was a core philosophical question of this, that with ultimate power, you can benevolent or dictator.
Right.
Is that how you approach any of these kind of superhero films? Like, this is the kind of core philosophical thing that we're challenging right now? Because it seems like a pretty epic task.
Well, I mean, we've done. Usually, it's a villain's desire. I mean, we've done Ra's al Ghul. How many times does he want to destroy the world to rebuild it again? So I mean, and he's a man who believes in ultimate power, his power. So this is a question about what if you had heroes who were right on the edge. If they fell off that edge, how bad would it be? I guess that's what it's about.